In 2008, a man was sleeping on a friend's couch. He had $47 in his bank account. He couldn't afford groceries. He was 3 months behind on rent. 8 years later, that same man was worth $400 million. That man is not a myth. That man is not an anomaly. And by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how he did it and why you, sitting right there, have the ability to do the same thing. Jay was 24. No job, no apartment, no safety net, just $47 in his bank account and a friend's couch to sleep on. That's not a motivational poster. That's a Friday night staring at a cracked phone screen, watching the number 47 point something blink back at you. You know that feeling. Groceries? Out of the question. Rent? Not even close. You start counting coins, scanning the room for anything you could sell. You wonder how long you can stretch a loaf of bread and a jar of peanut butter. Maybe you have been there yourself. Maybe you are there right now. But here is what changed everything for Jay. 8 years later, he walked away with a number so big, most people never see it outside a lottery ticket. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Not luck. Not a secret trust fund. No magic shortcut. He started with less than what most people have in their wallets. And he did not just get by. He built something the world wanted, and the world paid him for it. That's not a fairy tale. That's the blueprint. And it starts with nothing but a decision. This isn't where my story ends. Let's do the math they never taught you. Say you land a job paying $25 an hour. That sounds decent, right? Multiply it out, $25 times 40 hours a week times 50 weeks a year. That comes to $50,000 before taxes, before health insurance, before your car breaks down on a Tuesday morning. Now imagine you could save every penny. No emergencies, no debts, no rent hikes. It would still take you 20 years to stack up $1 million. 20 years of perfect health, perfect discipline, perfect luck. And that's before you even touch taxes. But life doesn't work like a spreadsheet, a dentist appointment, a layoff. Your kid needs new shoes. Suddenly that $50,000 shrinks. You start to see the trap. The more hours you sell, the more you realize there's a ceiling. Time multiplied by effort equals money. That's the model we were sold. But here's the truth. That model was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to make you useful to someone else. Read that again. Forget the old math. There is a new equation, one they never taught you in school. It looks like this. Problem multiplied by scale equals wealth. Not time, not effort, not how many hours you can grind before you burn out. Wealth is built when you solve a real problem for a lot of people. Amazon did not get rich by working more hours. Amazon made shopping easier for millions. That is convenience at scale. PayPal did not just process payments. They made sending money online frictionless for businesses and friends across the planet. Uber took the hassle out of finding a ride and put drivers and riders together in seconds, from New York to Nairobi. That is on-demand transport, multiplied by millions of trips every single day. It is not about being a genius. It is not about having a secret. It is about finding a pain point, building a solution, and scaling it so that it matters to more than just you. That is the formula. Problem times scale equals wealth. Say it again. Problem times scale equals wealth. That is the mental tool nobody handed you. Now you have it. Start with pain. Not with an idea, not with a dream, with pain. Maya Hernandez didn't wake up wanting to build an app. She woke up to her mom juggling rent, lights, and groceries with 3 different side gigs. She watched gig workers get paid in one lump sum, then scramble to keep the lights on, the rent paid, and the fridge stocked. Banks didn't care. Payroll companies didn't care. Nobody was building for the people living week to week, tip to tip. So Maya listened. She sat in coffee shops, watched rideshare drivers reload their apps, and heard the same complaints on every break room floor. Why can't I split my pay? Why do I need a payday loan just to cover rent? That's the gold. The pain that's so real, people will line up to pay for relief. Shift Pay was born from that pain. Within 6 months, 15% of new users hit the Rent First button. Not because it was flashy, but because it solved a problem nobody else bothered to fix. Each new customer cost just $22 to acquire, because word spread fast when you solve a real problem. Don't guess. Don't invent a solution in a vacuum. Find the pain. Listen until you can repeat it back better than anyone else. That's where wealth begins. Sarah Blakely didn't wait for permission. She didn't have a fancy degree, a trust fund, or a list of connections. She had an itch, the kind that comes from wearing uncomfortable hosiery all day and wondering why nobody had fixed it yet. With $5,000 scraped from her sales job, she went to work. 4 prototypes, denim stretch fabric, a foot treadle sewing machine in her apartment. The factories turned her down. Too small, too risky, not worth the bother. She kept calling. She kept showing up. Finally, a boutique mill in Charlotte agreed to run her design for 40 cents a unit, no strings attached. Then came the real test. Blakely walked into Neiman Marcus not with a slick pitch deck, but with a handmade prototype and a pair of scissors. She cut the legs off pantyhose right there, slid the fabric over a mannequin, and let the manager feel the difference. No visible lines, no seams, no sales tricks, just the truth the market was waiting for. Within 48 hours, Neiman Marcus placed a $100,000 order. That funded her first inventory run. That's how Spanx started. Not with a dream, with a prototype, with a demo, with a real sale. Build what the market is asking for, not what you wish the market wanted. Scale is the multiplier. It's what takes a good idea and turns it into freedom. But scale isn't just working harder, or hiring more people, or adding more hours to your week. Scale is about breaking the link between your time and your income. That's where the old model collapses. Software does this better than almost anything. You write the code once. The cost to deliver it to the next user is almost zero. That's why a single app can serve 1,000, 1,000,000, 10 million people without you working 10 million hours. That's scale. Platforms are another lever. Airbnb doesn't own the homes. Uber doesn't own the cars. They build the system, then let users create the value for each other. Every new user makes the platform more useful. That's called network effects. The more people join, the more valuable it gets for everyone. Licensing is the third path. You invent something, you let others use it, and every deal brings in money while you sleep. One product, endless customers. That's repeatable cash flow, not a one-time sale. The point is this: if you want wealth, you need a model that grows without you having to be in the room every time money changes hands. Find the lever that lets your solution multiply. Make it scale. 60 investors said no, not 1 or 2. 60. That is how many doors Jeff Bezos knocked on before anyone would back his idea for an online bookstore. Every rejection landed the same way: too risky, too weird, too small. He kept pitching, he kept asking, he kept getting told to give up. But he did not. That is the difference. Airbnb's founders were drowning in debt, $30,000 on their credit cards, rent overdue, and no one believed in their idea. So they did something nobody expected. They printed cereal boxes, Obama O's, and Captain McCain's, sold them for $5 a pop, and scraped together just enough to keep the lights on. $5,000 from cereal. That is what bought them one more month, one more shot. That is what got them in the door at Y Combinator. That is what saved the company. James Dyson built 5,127 prototypes. Not 5, not 50, 5,127. Each one failed. Each one was a dead end. He kept going until the last one finally worked. The world only remembers the vacuum. Nobody remembers the 5,126 misses. The market does not reward perfection. It rewards persistence. The only rule is this: you can fail as many times as it takes. You only have to get it right once. Why? Do you actually want money? Not the surface answer, not the number you scribbled on a napkin at midnight. The real answer, the one that keeps you up when the bills pile up and the phone buzzes with another overdraft alert. Is it just about buying more stuff? Or is it about something deeper? Here's the truth most people hide from. Money isn't about status. It's about freedom. The freedom to say yes when you want to. The freedom to say no when you need to. The freedom to walk away from a job that drains you or to take care of your family when life throws a punch. That's what matters. But for millions, that freedom is out of reach. In 2022, the United States Gini coefficient hit 0.48. That's economists speak for this. The gap between the haves and the have-nots is wider here than in almost any other wealthy country. Half of all income flows to just 20% of households. The other half gets split among everyone else. So ask yourself, what would real freedom look like for you? Not just more zeros in your account, but a life where you control your choices. That's the motive. That's the reason to build. Not for a number, but for the space to breathe, to protect your people, to write your own story. The system wasn't built to hand you that freedom. But you can take it. Problem times scale equals wealth. Wealth equals options. Options equal freedom. That's why you start. Right now, the gap between rich and broke is wider than ever. Time multiplied by effort equals money? That was never designed to make you wealthy. It was designed to make you useful to someone else. Stop chasing money. Start solving problems. The market is waiting. What will you build?